All right, family. Look, I'm gonna call this part 3A or something because there was one thing I missed on my notes here. I want to make sure I put this out there because I mentioned this, from the network engineering perspective about how you need to take a system down to upgrade the backbone. And with regards to the singularity, switching everything over, right? So I wanted to expand a little bit more on that. Excuse me. It was in Mexico anyway. It was the 22nd of October 2022. So I just want to say, if you add that up in numerology, that comes to 9. 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, 9, and that represents a completion. So 9s and 7s is always when they like to do shit like this, right? So they switched over the telecommunications from any predecessor legacy, carrier that was using any of their own local infrastructure to support the telecommunications going on in the country. At least the cellular communications, I believe. Yeah. And there's a few fixed lines still having an operation over there, but for the most part, everybody's using the dumb phone. So 10/22/22, what happened? I just want to note that what happened was the switchover, but first they needed to do like a distraction, so wouldn't nobody question it, a psyop, right? So it says here in my notes, and I'm sorry, I am really sorry, this air conditioner's blowing right on me, and it's just so moldy here. But let me point this out, that it says ritual and distraction, and then tormenta. So the ritual was to get everybody, all right, what happened on that day? I'm gonna tell you. In Mexico, where I was at, is all my neighbors came home and they was packing their cars and hurrying up and everybody was packing up and leaving. And I said, "Where are y'all going?" And they said, "Oh, you didn't hear?" "What?" "No, I didn't hear what." "What is it?" "Oh my God, there's a Category 4 hurricane coming right for us." Or was it a Category 5? I don't know, but it was enough to basically make everybody pick up and leave. And I said, "Well, I'm good. I'm just gonna stay where I'm at," because their source of the information came by way of a message that they saw on WhatsApp or some Facebook group or chat group or something like this, right? But there was I said, let me see who is responsible for the story. Like, where did that come from? It's just a meme. It's just a regurgitation, but who's the actual authority to say that that is indeed happening? Like, where's, I don't feel like there's a storm coming, and I'm looking around at my dogs and all the other animals and they ain't tripping either. So, wow, I'm good. Y'all go out of town and do what you want. So my neighbor called me from Tepic later that night, and he said, "Oh my God, I see that the storm has really devastated everything, and the power's out, and this and that. How are you still answering the phone?" He said to me, "You mean the power's not out?" And I was like, "Nope, it's not," because they took their storm, their tormenta, with them and left me in this space with me and the animals of the forest and my street dogs and my beautiful house and just me, and didn't know storm come. In fact, it was just a real light rain, real gentle breeze. But here comes the but. The next day, they did shut the phone service off, and I don't know about the electricity. I don't remember if the electricity was shut off, but they did shut off the phone service. Cell phone, like not just the data, Wi-Fi using VoIP, WhatsApp, Telegram, these kinds of things, but also the regular Telcel lines were down. Now, there was no infrastructure that was taken down anywhere on the coast that would cause that backbone infrastructure to be able to still provide cell phone coverage, right, on the local carrier. but they intentionally took the what you call backbone local service provider down so that they could switch over. And whenever, here's another clue, if you're going to take down, like, let's say hypothetically a storm did come. I have never, and I've been through so many storms, and this wasn't even a storm, as I said, but I've been through so many storms, and they will turn the service for the phones will go out, but it's never out for 3 weeks. So this was a first, even in Mexico. And so that told me right there that they took it down intentionally because they needed that 3-week period to switch everything over to the VoIP system and tie it into the data centers and shit like that. So yeah, that's it. It was a ritual because, so if they can get everybody to believe this, and then they get them to do something, like they're saying this, and then the people are following it, that's what's called an unholy ritual. So that was the first thing. And then the second piece to this psyop that the storm was coming was for the purpose of distracting the public and giving it some sort of top cover, some story, some plausible story. Everybody just bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And I'm like, I asked every one of my Mexican friends that have been living there their whole life, I said, have you ever seen the cell phone service taken out for more than 3 days maximum? And that's when like a category 5 hits right on top of your town. And they said, no, usually phone service is restored, if it goes down, it gets restored really quickly. Because how else are you supposed to coordinate calling the police, calling the ambulance, calling the firefighters, or whatever you need to call to clear up the rubble and recover from the natural disaster? I've never, and I've been through so many storms in many parts of the world, and I have never, ever seen the local service be out that long. So that tells me it was a switchover. It was a time that they needed to take down the original system and switch everything over. And then what popped back up again says it's the Telcel service. It makes you think you have a Telcel signal. But if you try to dial with your Telcel, it automatically routes you through a switched voice system, a switched VoIP. So I wanted to say, and I don't know it. Oh, here goes the Agent Smith activity trying to take down my high-tech apparatus here. Give me a second. I don't know if this changeover date was the same as it was in the States, but anybody can remember or go back and look and see what happened in their area on or about this date. It doesn't have to be the same date, as long as the date like adds up in numerology to either a 7 or a 9. Those are the two numbers that they like to play with when it comes to doing their psyops, their cover stories, right? So that's it for that. I just wanted to close out the Singularity, because once all the grid that everybody's touching, how do you contact the grid, right? Through your device. Once everybody's connected to this, then this like none of your communications, they're all going through this VoIP system, this fiber optic Wi-Fi, satellite connected. I mean, it's everything. It's quite literally Big Brother. It's, if you haven't read that book, 1984. So having said that, the book itself was probably, some will be like, oh, it's like the Simpsons movies too, isn't it? They want to drop something into the collective field of consciousness so that we can pick it up in our imaginations. And then once it's there in the imagination, then as a child of God, of course you're going to make that come true, right? So that's how it works, family, in the esoteric realms. Just be aware of that. And I'm going to conclude that here with the Singularity video and move on to the next subject. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And if it has, it's my honor to share it. And until we speak again, I'll see you in the dream world. Ciao for now.